time now for Movie Spotlight. This is our regular segment on a Friday where our film critics give us their recommendations on what to watch over the weekend among the latest releases in cinemas and online in Korea. And they have joined me now in the studio. First, we have Jason Bechervaise. Jason, hello. It's good to see you.
Hello, and it's great to see you too.
And we have Darcy Paquet here with us as well. Darcy, hello to you too.
Hi.
Now, this week, we aren't reviewing the major releases, but we are looking at two re-releases. That's because two films based on works by the new Nobel Laureate Han Kang are back in select cinemas to celebrate her historic moment. And so we decided to review these two films today to continue our special coverage of Han Kang's win this week as well. So, the first of the two films that we're going to talk about is based on her most famous work, The Vegetarian, which of course won the International Booker Prize in 2016. Interestingly, while the Korean title of the film is the same as the Korean title of the book, 채식주의자, in English the film is simply titled Vegetarian without the. It was directed by Lim Woo-seong, and it premiered at the Busan Film Festival back in 2009, just 2 years after the book was originally published in Korean. And Jason, this is your pick this week. Can you tell us more?
Yeah, so this came out, before my time in Korea, so I hadn't actually seen this film. It's quite difficult to get hold of earlier independent movies. Unlike later ones that get released on streaming platforms, so you often need to get hold of a DVD to watch them. So I was able to watch it this week for the first time, and I haven't yet read the book. I will get to it. It's a very busy semester, but yes. But as I understand the three-part novel, it mainly focuses on the second and central part titled Mongolian Mark. Though the film encompasses all three. So the protagonist is a young woman called Young Hae, played by Chae Min-soo. And an artist who gives up eating meat following a nightmare that appears linked to her troubled past, and her husband is essentially just not supporting her at all and files for divorce, leaving her sister, played by Kim Yo-jin, to try and care for her. And then meanwhile, which is kind of the focal part for the second half of the film, the sister's husband, a video artist played by Kim Yeon-sung, offers to go and see her and ask if she can model for him by painting her in flowers, which appears to help her psychologically. It was released in Korea February 2010, sold little over 3,000 tickets then. I see it sold 326 tickets yesterday, and it screened at It also screened at the Sundance Film Festival in 2010 in the World Cinema Narrative Competition.
Okay, so only 3,000 tickets sold in its original run. So not a box office hit, but that's, I guess, typical sometimes for independent movies. The book deals with some very dark and complex themes, and it has a reputation of being quite a challenging read. Is the film equally challenging? Is it a hard watch?
Yes and no. Although, it's interesting going back to it now because it's not a film. I mean, now they probably would make it. They would adapt it into a movie because she's won a Nobel Prize. But if it wasn't for that, I don't know if Darcy agrees with me. I just don't see this book being adapted into a movie in the kind of current kind of climate. I mean, it deals with it really does feel like a film from a different era. So with it deals with themes of violence, trauma, sex, and art. And I haven't read the original novels, so I don't know the differences that the director made, if any. But there are these moments where the main character, she's struggling to deal with her dreams and her past. But she clearly finds solace through this artwork and body painting and sex. And, when you're dealing with psychological complexities, it's really challenging as a writer or director to be able to kind of articulate that. So I think the film does it quite well. yeah, it does feel like some of the kind of more erotic scenes, are centered around the male gaze, which some may find problematic. But
I see.
But yeah, it is a really engaging film, very well made film, even though it's a low budget film. It doesn't. Some indie films, they look like they've been shot on a low budget. I was impressed. It definitely leaves a lasting impression.
Okay, so you do feel it's worth recommending then?
I do, but you need to go in with understanding what is in the film, if you know what I mean. Otherwise, you might be quite surprised or shocked. It's certainly quite explicit, put it that way.
Okay.
But yeah, well performed. I noticed actually that the actors in the film, some of them have just completely disappeared from the industry altogether.
Okay.
They used to be familiar faces, and so much time has passed that, yeah.
Like literally, the last time they were in films was like the early to mid 2010s. And so I was like, what's happened to these leads?
So really, this film is from a different era.
Yeah, literally.
It feels like that as well.
Oh, although there's Kim Yo-jin who plays the sister. She's quite active these days.
Sure, she's super active. We see her in films and TV shows.
More streaming. So Vincenzo Drive, the film. But there is Gi Ju-bong, who is he's prolific. I mean, he's often plays this like supporting role, particularly in Hong Sang-see's films, although now more of a lead. So he plays a very small role in this film as the girl's or the woman's father. Very small, but it's quite a significant character in terms of the chain of events in the narrative.
Darcy, I understand that you have read the book and seen the film as well. So first, how different is the film from the source material then?
Yeah, I mean, I'm probably one of the few people who saw the film first and then read the movie or read the book after. I think that in terms of the events, the film follows pretty closely to what's written in the book, but it feels really different just because the book is so internal, and she's so good at kind of capturing kind of the interior, like the psychology of her characters, but that's really hard to do in films. And you could choose to try to add like narration or something like that, but I think the director didn't want to do that, and I totally understand why. But just because they are very different mediums, I think my feeling is that this is a novel that would be extraordinarily difficult for any director. And, it would take, kind of a very, very talented kind of genius level director to really be able to pull it off and make it something that kind of lives up to the book, because I do think the book is a real achievement. And
so you're saying this film didn't pull it off then? Jason was recommending it somewhat, but do you feel differently?
I mean, it's interesting. I mean, if it was only the movie that existed and the book didn't exist, then we'd look at this and say, well, this is really quite creative and it brings in a lot of interesting plot elements, and it's kind of a risky narrative and interesting characters. I think, because we have the book, most likely people watching it these days will be familiar with the novel, and then they'll be looking to see what a film director was able to do with this material. And the answer is, I think quite understandably, the film director is kind of limited in how much he can take this story and make it a really successful film. I don't think I could have done better than he did, but so it's interesting. I mean, I think it's worth going back if you're really into the book and you want to see a different perspective on the plot events. Right,
because this is about psychology and psychological trauma that's so hard to put on screen, of course. Anyway, that was The Vegetarian, I should say, out now in select cinemas here in Korea this week. The second film we're looking at is called Scars. It's translated from the Korean title Hyungta, but it's based on a 1999 novella by Han Kang called Agi Pucha in Korean, which can be translated to Baby Buddha, although there is no English translation of this work yet, I understand. Now, this film is also directed by the same director, Lim Woo-seong. It was released in 2011, and Darcy, I understand that you actually saw this film when it was released back then in 2011 as well.
Yeah, I mean, I rewatched it this week, but the first time I saw it was at the San Sebastian International Film Festival in Spain back in 2011. And at the time, I used to work for the festival, so I'd go every year. And Scars was invited to compete in the New Directors competition. So it was well received there. I mean, it didn't win a prize, but the audience liked it. And then the director, Lim Woo-seong, was there together with the lead, Park So-yeon. And I did get a chance to talk with him. I mean, the director was clearly a huge fan of the of the novelist Han Kang, and had met her and spoken to her, and and convinced her to give him the rights to do these two films. And so after The Vegetarian, he he was still interested in taking one of her other stories and turning that into cinema as well. And so it is interesting to compare the two films. I mean, the two films feel somewhat different. Vegetarian got a much wider audience at the time, but this is a slightly different approach.
Okay, so what's the story about?
So it focuses on a woman named Sunny, and she leads this quiet life as a book illustrator. The film suggests that she's suffering from some illness, but it's never really spelled out exactly what it is. I mean, the people around her are concerned, but she says not to worry about it. And then her husband is a news anchor, so every evening he appears on TV, his very recognizable face. And one day Sunny receives a phone call from a woman who says that she's having an affair with her husband. And, Sunny doesn't respond in a typical movie way. Like, she doesn't... she almost becomes more introspective. Like, she does confront her husband, but, again, not in a very confrontational way. She asks questions, but it seems to make her more introspective, and then gradually she starts to kind of confront these issues about her marriage, her pasts. The story is called Scars, and both these characters have scars, in some cases figurative, in some cases literal. So it is a portrait of these two people, but especially the wife.
Okay, so this is another sort of domestic drama then, rather than some of the more historical and political works that Han Kang is known for as well. What did you think of it?
I mean, it's very somber in tone. Vegetarian is very dark and depressing, but colorful as well.
That's right, yeah.
This film, the color palette is very kind of brown, and it is kind of a depressing watch, to describe it in those terms. In some ways, I think it was more successful than The Vegetarian, though. I think this was his second go at a story by the director, and here too, he doesn't use narration or voiceover or anything to directly portray what this character is thinking, but there are indirect ways that he does that through the filmmaking, through the images of the film. And it's not going to find a wide audience because it is a tough watch as well. But
right, okay.
I think this film does have layers, and fans of Han Kang's works would probably enjoy wrestling with this film's themes a bit more than Vegetarian, would be my guess. It didn't find the success even of Vegetarian.
Right, I understand that it only sold 256 tickets in its original release back in 2011.
That's
so
right.
That perhaps tells us a little bit as well. Jason, I understand that you've not been able to see this film yet either. But is it interesting that they are releasing these films again in the cinema this week?
Oh, absolutely. It's not a surprise given all the attention surrounding, the Nobel Prize. Selects cinemas that the films are being released in. It's just CGV, I think, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
It's not the other cinema chains. So, so if you curious to see these films on the big screen, now is your chance over the next week or so.
Sure.
Yeah. I'm curious if an OTT platform will pick it up as well, because right now they're just not available. So,
that's right. Yeah. It was a mission to get hold of them.
Yeah.
But the thing is, Darcy, despite some of its merits that we've talked about, it does seem like this is perhaps really only for the most diehard of Han Kang fans.
Definitely. There is, it's not a long movie. It's like 64 minutes. And yet at the end of the screening, there was kind of a sigh of frustration that I could hear among the people around me who had come to watch the film in the theater. But yeah, just because it's a hard film, like it ends and you're thinking, wait a minute, it's over? wasn't there more to this? Like, people are kind of expecting some kind of dramatic plot reveal or something, and it is very much a mystery at the end of the film.
I think it tells us about Han Kang's works that perhaps a lot of them are just not adaptable very easily for film.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think that
But yeah, surely if you've read the books, I mean, it's not too much of a surprise, right, watching these films?
Yeah.
Sure, perhaps, yes. Still, that is something to consider. So we've been talking about Scars, which is out now in select cinemas here in Korea this week as well. And that is, we're going to leave it for this week's Han Kang special movie spotlight. Jason, Darcy, it's been a pleasure as always, and we'll see you next time. Take care.
Yeah, take care, everybody.
Have a good day.